Hello and welcome back to this new edition, no, not new edition, another edition to the Hellraiser franchise. We are up to Hellraiser Hellseeker. Oh, we've definitely entered the pain portion of this franchise. Let's just jump into it, discuss what was all going on, shall we? We open to a familiar face. It's Kirsty back again, her husband Trevor. They're having a bit of lovey-dovey moment back and forth as they're going on this car trip, and they're talking about how they're going to be working out their troubles. But unfortunately, he was not looking up for mayhem. Ends up driving off a bridge into the river. He manages to get out, but he can't get to Kirsty, who's trapped by her seatbelt, and then he can't get the door open. And then he wakes up in the hospital with a nurse, Allison, helping him. And it's been about a month, and he's had a bad head wound. He's having memory lapses and headaches. And he doesn't remember anything, and Kirsty is missing. And the police are investigating, trying to figure out what's going on. But the one thing I did say was that in the police report, when they fished up the car, that the doors were open and not closed, like he said they were. But he's on head injury and all this other stuff, so they're confused about what's going on, and he has nothing really to give them outside of his story. And he's off to work. And his coworkers are kind of giving him shit because he didn't come back from lunch the day before. And he doesn't really remember anything. He finds a card saying, all problems solved. And he has a memory that takes him back to going to a warehouse. And you see all these random people about doing random things. And he's snapped out of it by his coworker. And he's jump scared by a hand in the break room, and his boss, Gwen, comes on to him real hard in the break room. And whenever he gets back to his computer, he gets a actual video of what he was just doing with the boss from the break room onto his computer. He's looking around, making sure nobody sees what's happening. And he gets a phone call from Detective Lang, asking him to come down to the precinct. And they're questioning his story even more because there was no skid marks or attempts of breaking. It looks like he just drove off of the bridge. And they're starting to suspect foul play is afoot. And then on his way back, he sees that he's being followed by somebody. It starts from the road, it goes up to his apartment, and then he sees the same person staring at him from across the street. And he begins to choke up, and he actually chokes, so he coughs up an eel-looking thing, a fish kind of deal. But he's snapped out of his hallucination by someone at the door. And it's a neighbor woman who wants to show him his tattoo. And again, real tension between the two of them. And he goes back inside. And he pulls out one of the videotapes of memories, and he sees her. It's from a birthday party or an anniversary of him giving her a gift. And it is the lament configuration. But it cuts out before you can see her reaction to receiving the goddamn lament configuration again. And it's his boss, Gwen, who again, those two start going at it real hot and heavy. And she actually pulls out a camera and starts videotaping it, and he shoves her off. And she's tired of his head wound argument thing going on. It's like, don't you know about this stuff? You're his boss. You should know about his head wound. After she leaves, she's back to the footage of what they were doing is still playing out on the television in live time. And it jumps a little bit, and you see a Cenobite suffocating her with saran wrap. And he jumps awake back at his office. And a coworker hooks him up with a number, and you hear for a moment a number of this woman who can help him, and he mentions offhand that Gwen is missing. And it turns out the person he sends him to is an acupuncturist. And he allows him to tap back into a memory of him back at the warehouse. He gets a spherical music box which turns into the lament configuration. And when he picks it up, he snaps back to the acupuncturist. And we see... he doesn't wake up, but we go back to the acupuncturist kind of deal. And we get the first sign of, I got his name right. I keep getting his name wrong. He's not the high priest, he's the hell priest. God damn it. I will get his name right once in this franchise. It will. The Hell Priest shows up and takes one of his pins and sticks it straight through his neck. And he's asking him, do you prefer the pain or the pleasure? I prefer the pain. And he jumps back awake. And it's Detective Givens this time, Detective Lang's partner. And Detective Lang does not trust this guy. He believes eliminated his wife, and all of this is just a ruse to cover up the murder. The murder is because while he's claiming he didn't know about it, she had a major inheritance from her dad and Frank. And she's the sole beneficiary, and if something happens to her, then he would get the money. And we jump back to his apartment, and the neighbor woman's back and is seducing him, and he's going all for it. And during all of this, he envisions that she turns into the Cenobite and kind of attacks him. And he wakes up, and he's got blood all over himself, and he goes out into the living room, there's blood and destruction, and he sees her tied up and gone. And he races back into the bathroom to clean the blood off of his hands. And the Hell Priest shows up in the mirrors and goes, "Don't worry, all problems solved and everything is clean." And he goes back out there, and the body's gone and the mess is cleaned. And he races down there to her apartment, where she's not only alive, but she has no memory of ever talking to him, and her boyfriend is pissed that he's there. So he goes back up, and he gets another call from Lang. And there's a twist in the case. And he's asking about his relationship with Gwen. And he sees that his co-worker is also there, and he's on his way out. And he goes off to see Allison to try to get some help, because he doesn't know what's going on, he doesn't know what's real anymore. And then he goes to grill his co-worker, asking questions like, "They think I killed Kirsty and all of this. I need to know what you said." And he keeps saying, "I don't know. I didn't say anything. And then you find out why he's acting so squirrely is because Detective Lang is right there in his chair, and he doesn't know it's him until it's too late. And he really wants to know what's going on. And then he shows him that the lament configuration was found at the scene, and there was blood on it. And if you don't give him something, Givens is going to come back, and Givens is going to arrest him for homicide. But again, he still drags his feet, he doesn't know anything. And we learned that his co-worker, his name is Brett, by the way, I haven't mentioned that. He's just bailing, he's going to skip town, he's tired of all of this, and everything's getting weird, and he wants out. Which momentarily, he's slamming darts off the board, which triggers a memory back to that night when she's given the box, and she freaks out on him. She does not, "How dare you do this to me? I trusted you," as you'd expect from her to do at this point over this box. And he gets back on the bus, and some things happen, and then he wakes back up in an ambulance. He has a hallucination that he's with this acupuncturist who tries to stab him with an ice pick. But he wakes up in the ambulance, and he finds out that he passed out on the bus. And he gets to the hospital, and he learns that Allison is not a nurse, and there's no nurse Allison there. So he storms off in a huff, and he goes to Allison's office, which he was at earlier, and it's now just an empty, vacated room. And Allison does show up, and she's like, "You need to face your memories and face your demons alone." And the one guy, janitor, he's like, "Dude, who are you talking to?" And Allison's not really there. And he has another memory of Kirsty, a brief memory of Kirsty calling him out for all of his affairs and knows about all of the women. And then the Hell Priest returns to him again, telling him to face his demons, and he accuses the Hell Priest of killing all these people, and he says, "Oh, that's not my work." The Hell Priest, and he's questioning him, and the Hell Priest denies killing them, and he runs off. He runs into his co-worker Brett, who pulls a gun on him, and it turns out the plan was that they were going to kill Kirsty. He would make it look like a suicide, and they would collect the inheritance money and split it 50-50. And now all the cops are coming down on him, and he's scared and all this, and he turns the gun around and eliminates himself, which freaks him out that much longer. And he runs off with the Cenobite following behind him, and he runs off to the acupuncturist, and she's been eliminated with the ice pick to her head. And someone's trying to get into the office. He panics and grabs the ice pick, thinking it's a Cenobite, when no, it is the cops and Detective Lang who arrest him and take him down to the precinct. And he envisions himself being dragged out of the room by two cops who he'd seen beating this guy bloody. But he snaps out of it a few steps out, and Detective Lang is standing there, and I'm like, "Where do you think we're going?" He's like, we're going to take you down to the morgue. We found a body, and you're going to identify it as Kirsty. So they take him downstairs to the morgue, and you go pick up real fast that this ain't the morgue. First, there's this basement, and there's all this weird torture stuff going on. And then they take him to another basement when Detective Langs locks him into a corridor and torments him like you were two sides of the same coin and all this blah blah blah, and then splits into two and laughs at him as he runs down the hall. And he makes it to the morgue, and there's one body covered up. And the Hell Priest shows up, and he tells it's time to face your memories, time for the truth to come out. And Trevor tries to pull the blanket back, and the chains grab him to stop him from doing that such. And we go back to him giving Kirsty the box. And all of this stuff, and Kirsty is pissed off at him, and he's like, yeah, I know, just open the box, because he knows exactly what he's doing by making her open this box. So she's like, you want to see what it is? Fine. And she opens the box, and she gets sucked into the world, and we get the face-off again that we've all been wanting. It's Kirsty and the Hell Priest. And the Hell Priest, was kind of his plan all along. He's been setting things in motion from behind the scenes, because he wants what was his, what he feels is owed from him from the first movie. And that's Kirsty's soul. They're about to take her when she goes, I'll do you one better. I'll give you 5 souls this time. And that just very intrigues him, and he goes, okay, you bring me the 5 souls. So you find out that all of these people, Gwen, the neighbor woman, the acupuncturist, I guess, the friend, and Trevor, everyone who was behind this and hurting her, she eliminated along the way. And those are the 5 souls she's giving to him. And you see in the car where she's calling him out for all of this and everything horrible he's done to her. And she pulls a gun and shoots him in the head. And that's what caused them to drive off into the water. And she was a sole survivor, and he's getting pulled out of the river. And all these people, like the detective we see, they're at the river with Kirsty. And there's even a fish lodged in his throat like the one he spit out. And the movie ends with Kirsty being the sole survivor. And that is Hellraiser, Hellseeker. So, once again, let's talk pros. Nobody here really did a bad job. Various of the different levels of just fine. And it was always good to see Doug Bradley, as always. And 3 cheers for the returning Ashley Lawrence. In comparison to in comparison, it did make Inferno look good. So congratulations, that's something to be applauded. What am I supposed to say about this movie? They got Ashley Lawrence to come back, a mainline character from this franchise that helped put this franchise on the map, and she's only in it for a grand total of about 5 minutes. And 30 seconds of that is spent with her and the Hell Priest. You know, the big showdown that people would be really excited for going into this movie. And they still had the same chemistry. That 30 seconds was really good. And really missed. And they did nothing with it. At all. Instead we got Trevor. And I see the vision. I see what they're going for with Trevor again. Because it's kind of like Inferno. It's a guy who's in hell, who's being tormented by his memories of past sin. But this time, he's trying to figure out what's going on instead of the great puzzle. And it does it worse than Inferno did. Why would the Hell Priest care to let him squirm like this? You can have him squirm wherever he wants and however he wants. This can't be this guy's personal hell because he doesn't care about Kirsty, so he doesn't care about trying to find his wife. It's just not good. I could see like what they wanted to do, it just didn't work at all. It worked less than what they were trying for in Inferno. I can applaud them for trying something different, but I mean that's about as far as I can go. Because like you have Ashley Lawrence right there, and you have this whole storyline of all these people all these people he's cheating with, and he's screwing her over and actually going to kill her. It would have been so much better to watch her in real time to learn all of this stuff out and learn that he's going to use the box to get you. So she has to, turn the tables and outsmart him. And the returning Hell Priest, who's twice as pissed off that she's doing this again. That would have all been so much better than this movie. And not to mention the fact that, so on top of all that she's dealing with, she is becoming Julia. Because she is now finding souls to send to him, kind of like Julia was finding souls for Frank to make him human again. It would have been good to see her, the emotional weight of that situation coming to light, too. Despite the fact you probably shouldn't have done that. Alright, the gore wasn't that great in this movie, to be honest. It was a real steep decline. I don't think there's any good way to end this one. So, let's call it a D. Nice to see Ashley Lawrence back as Kirsty. I wish she had a better outing. Alright. Bye-bye.